within like a year, music was just starting to pick up and like things were just kind of starting to happen.
Was that pretty intimidating, especially going up for your first show as like, I'm a part of this group? What was that like?
And I got reached out to by Simon Cowell's like team.
Dude, I have no idea.
The next day, I get a random text from Caleb in Anthem. He goes, "Hey dude, I'm part of Anthem Lights. Do you want to potentially talk about joining our band?" And so I did my thing on it, sent it back to him. He's like, "This is perfect. The A&Rs and this. Okay, all right, we're gonna do it." He just goes so fast, and I love it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Studio One. I am here with a special guest, Spencer Kane. How you doing, man?
What's up, y'all? It's good to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. How's your day going so far?
Doing good, man. Just got off work and home for the evening. You're gonna chill out, chat with you for a little while, and enjoy the rest of my night.
That's perfect, dude. I appreciate you coming on. So
Yeah,
we're gonna do a little bit of intro, a couple intro questions just for people to get to know you.
Right.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up two different places. So I was born in Indiana, in South Bend. Go Irish! We made in the playoffs. Big game coming up. But then quickly after I was born, about 1 year old, I moved to Florida with my family, and we lived in Ocala, Florida, until I was about 7. And so enough to like get a little bit of community down there, but I only really have like 1 or 2 people I still can remember or know really well. And then we lived in Indiana for the rest of my life in a place called Kendallville, Indiana, just north of Fort Wayne. And so grew up from there till 19, moved to Nashville when I was 19 years old and been here ever since.
Dang, that's crazy. So your whole family moved around? Was that for like work stuff? You're kind of you just had to move with where?
Yeah, my dad was kind of like he took random jobs. Like he's kind of done a lot. He did stuff in the van conversion industry. He did stuff for Rubik's Cube. He built like their first online website back in the day.
That's so cool.
So it was just kind of like bouncing us around for that. And then when both my parents, their fathers both got pretty ill, and then my dad's mom also got pretty ill. We were like, we should probably go back home, be around them for the rest of their lives, and just be able to like know my grandparents, know my cousins, and job opportunities and stuff. So I think it just made sense for us to go back home. But I loved Florida. I really did.
Yeah.
Was super sad. 7-year-old me didn't understand really all the dynamics of it all. And so I look back and I'm like, what if? But it was the best decision I could have gotten to go home and be around family for sure.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you could do that. How did you get into music? I know you started pretty early, but how did you get into it?
I got into music kind of on a whim. Basketball and baseball were kind of like my main priorities outside of academics. Like my family didn't have a lot of money, so it was going to be sports and education to kind of get me into school at some point. And I was okay. I was pretty good at basketball and baseball, and I was like doing all the things you needed to do with the training and travel and stuff. But we were hyper realistic, and my dad heard me singing around the house one day just because I always loved music, and like Toby Mac was my first concert, and I fell in love with like music and rock and all the things that church youth kids would listen to. And so when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's kind of like performing on his court, like him up on stage, like that's dope. Him being up there like doing backflips off the DJ stand, crashing into each other, and I'm like, whatever that is feels equivalent to like hitting a big three, in the fourth quarter. So that was cool. And because I sang around the house, my dad sang, grew up doing, all the karaoke and stuff. He was like, hey, you're all right at this. You want to do this like local Noble County Idol thing. It's like a local county American Idol thing. And so I joined my age group. He joined his age group. We just did it together. And I sang Sunday Morning by Maroon 5, all 3 rounds, ended up coming in second. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, made a few $100 and that was cool. And he's like, if you ever blow out a knee in sports, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like it's done. Like you could be the best athlete in the world, but if you get injured, it never, will amount to really anything. And it was like very hyper realistic conversation to be having at like 12, 13 years old, but it was, it's fair. And I was a little undersized. And so I was starting to get more realistic with like my sports opportunities and stuff. And I was like, maybe I can go play in college, but it wouldn't be anywhere big. And pro probably wouldn't be on the table. So let's do it. Let's explore other interests just so I can have some like other opportunities in my life. It's something I'm chasing after. I'm not just putting all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, my dad had like a marketing business company that did like product stuff and websites for businesses around town. And so we just had all the gear to kind of like do the music video stuff. Granted, it wasn't like great music gear. It was something.
You're putting stuff out though.
Yeah, it worked. And Bieber had just popped on YouTube, so the whole YouTube social media craze was like kind of starting out. and we were like, you know what? Let's just put some stuff on YouTube and see what happens. And within like a year, music was just starting to pick up, and like things were just kind of starting to happen. The young, like, selfie driven Instagram, the whole thing was just kind of like popping,
Yeah.
and cringy as all can be. That was a large portion of my history, and so it just kind of started working. And sophomore year of high school, I just quit sports altogether because in my head I was in the equivalent of like the AAA with baseball. Like I wasn't in there. Obviously, I was in high school, but I was like music equivalent of that. I was starting to work with some really cool people, and I was working
Yeah.
with a developmental label that was like helping me figure out the next thing. I was on a TV show. I was able to go on a tour, and I was just like, I need to be realistic. I'm 5'10", 140 pounds, soaking wet. Like, basketball and all these sports probably ain't gonna work out. So I'm just gonna push up music as hard as I can. Ended up growing to be 6'3" when I graduated high school, so that
Yeah,
would have been cool to
I was
know.
gonna say you're not 5'10" anymore.
No, I know it was unfortunate, but music then took priority around that time, and the rest is kind of history. I just was like locked in.
Yeah. So your dad, I mean, I didn't even know your dad. It seemed like he was like a really pushing factor. Like,
For
that's
better or
kind of
worse.
crazy. Like, yeah. I mean, what was that like having your dad, like, it almost seemed like he believed in you before you really believed in yourself. Is that fair to say? Is that fair to say or no?
No, it's not unfair to say. I think he was obviously mature enough and like wise
Mm,
enough to recognize just life patterns, and for the best of my ability being able to comprehend that. Like, we fought a lot,
mm.
and sadly, like, we aren't even close now, for
I'm
many
sorry.
reasons that I won't even go on the podcast for. But it was classic dadager, after it was all kind of said and done. So, like, you can imagine some of the things that come with that. But I wouldn't say it was that he believed in it more like before I did. I think because, like, we both learned it. Like, Instagram,
Mm,
we both hopped on it as it became social media. Like, I
yeah.
kind of forget myself too. Like, I've been doing this for so long that, like, some of these things that are kids that are starting music careers out now are just kind of a given. Like, we were discovering these tools and these avenues of building a career at the same time as like
Mm,
almost everybody in this modern landscape. So it was weird to like learn it at the same time as my father
mhm.
and kind of like understand how that goes. And then when our opinions differed, it was don't be disobedient.
Yeah.
So that's where like the clash is what happened. So I think as I believed in it is how as has he believed in it as well. But
Yeah.
he definitely set the work ethic and
That's great.
the mindset that, like, hey, if you're gonna go get it, you got to go and do it and commit, and make something for yourself. And over the many years, I think that's found itself to be true in variety of ways. So it's been
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome. Cool. And then
Hmm.
outside of music, what hobbies? I know you talk about basketball, baseball. Like, what hobbies do you do now? Like, if you're just gonna chill, you're like not
Yeah,
music.
no. I try to stay as active as I can be. I feel like I play basketball at the YMCA in the mornings when I can, and like I play
Mm.
in a bunch of adult leagues just because I like to have games that are refed, and it means nothing to me, but it's a
Yeah.
good time. It means nothing in the grand
Yep.
scheme of anything, but it's fun to compete like that.
Yeah.
And there's these 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds still at the
Mm.
Y hooping, and I'm like, something to that. They're still doing it, so I'm gonna continue doing it till I can't. Because once you stop, that's when it stops.
Yep.
And so sports are still as involved in my life as I can make them because I just enjoy that. It's a passion of mine. I love watching Notre Dame football. I never
Mm.
played football, but I just love watching, like, sports in and of itself as a whole is definitely very important to me.
Yeah.
But outside of sports, gaming, big
Mm.
gamer, love playing video games. Obviously making music in my studio. Gaming is also on my studio monitor, so like those two kind of go hand in hand. Like, when I'm
Yeah.
bored gaming, I'll just, oh my goodness, dog, come on. When I'm bored gaming, I'll just turn on my studio stuff and try to work on my music. Come
Yeah.
here, come here. And then I love movies. I love TV shows. I love hanging out with my wife, friends.
Mm.
Just typical stuff.
Yeah.
Until baby comes around and then wrecks my whole world.
Yeah. Well, enjoy.
Until then, this is my little
And
baby.
then, oh, what's up?
You know.
Sweet. Well, that's awesome. Let's get into a
Yeah.
quick game
Let's
before we
do
get
it.
into the whole thing of the interview. So
Love it.
the game is remember the lyrics. So this is the first time we're playing this. So and we're
Okay.
doing it over Zoom Riverside. So this is going to be interesting, but it's going to work out well. So the first one is going to be Yell at Me.
Okay.
And you did this with Marty.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to play. So how you play this is, and I know we already talked about it, but for the viewers, how you play this is I'm going to start the song at his part. Then I'm going to stop it at some point, and then I just want you to finish as many lyrics as you can on that part.
Oh Lord, if it's
we're
his
gonna
verse,
test. We're gonna.
Oh no! All right, we'll see how it goes.
We're gonna test it. So I think this is your spot. Let me just make sure.
Okay.
Yep, it is. We're good.
Oh boy. Ooh, I know you're hangry. Let's get a burger or two. Same old spot or something new. You know that I got a sweet tooth for you. You scream and I scream. It's an out of taste thing we do.
That's perfect. I love that. Yeah, he still got that. That was released
he
recently,
gave me my
wasn't
verse.
it? That
Had
was.
he give me his verse, I might have been in trouble.
I made sure I was going to give you your verse. I was like, I'm not going to do that to him. I'm not going to do that to him.
And I swear, Marty, I love your music, dude. I swear I listen to your song, not just my parts.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's funny.
All right, let me go. So we're going to go. So this is from your 2022 album. 2022 album.
Yeah.
Let me pull. We're going to go like halfway through.
Opened your arms to the lost. Oh boy. Open your arms to the lost. You claim. I can't remember that line. I don't remember. I gotta.
Let's see what we got.
The whole thing. Yeah. No, you got me. I welcomed you and proclaimed. Yeah. Everything changed. Yeah.
Hey. I kind of set you up for a bad one. It was just yeah.
Every now, you just pause it right there. I'm like,
yeah. Oh man. All right, the last one.
Okay.
I appreciate you doing this one. This is fun. So,
oh boy,
this is your 2020 album.
Ooh.
This is Summertime.
Oh wow, what a random song. Okay.
I know. I was like, I'm just gonna throw him this one.
Shout out David Tulane, produced this one. I don't know
if you
guys know who that is, but he's done a couple things in the Christian space. He's a good dude.
You ready for this?
All right, let's do it. Oh,
here we go.
Boy. Is there a rush?
Did we stump him? I'm looking at the lyrics right now.
Dude, I can't. I have no idea.
Is there an us? Fingers crossed. I found what I lost. Don't want anybody else but you.
Dang, bro, that's good.
Hey, honestly though, I was like, if he doesn't get these, like, you have so many songs that, like, I know I was pulling some that I was like, all right. A couple of the popular ones, but I was like, I'm just gonna pull one and see if he can just like, if he's
no, that's good. I never normally if I'm gonna remember any lyrics of mine, it's because I performed them live. I just never performed that song live, so I never had to learn it.
That is true.
There you go.
Well, I appreciate you just having fun with it.
Man, 1 for 3 is rough.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, well, next time I'll make sure you're brushing up a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah. You know what? Next time I'm gonna make sure I go and listen to my discography for a whole week, and it'll seem super vain that I know all of my songs from 2015 and on.
Dude, it's awesome. Well, I appreciate doing that. Let's jump into the whole now the rest of the interview. So I want to get into a little bit of your history. Okay. So you started releasing music back in 2013, and kind of like we already kind of talked about like what prompted you to take this journey.
Would that be 2013? I think it might be earlier than that, man.
Let me check.
I know, because I think I took stuff down. So I was.
Oh, did you? Okay, so I was going off of your. So 2014 is technically your first album on Spotify.
Oh, so it'd be Runway. Yeah. So
yeah.
So that was the first album I did with a company called I Shine. My first song I ever put out was called Best Friends. This is long gone.
I was gonna say, can we find it?
Yeah. No, this came out in 2011 because I was 13 years old.
Dang.
And so Sweetwater. Have you ever heard of Sweetwater? Like the like music company?
Oh yeah.
So they opened a studio and warehouse in Fort Wayne. like right around when I started doing music. And the first thing that they recorded there, do you remember the American Idol with David Archuleta and David Cook? David Archuleta did
I don't
that
know.
song called Crush. He was a Mormon, and it was like a whole thing. Anyway, there's the two Davids that like competed, and the winner, David Cook, he did his first song there. And that's what like clued my dad. And he's like, dude, there's a studio down the street. We got to go record a song that you did since you won this Noble County Idol thing. We got to go do it. And so I recorded my first song, Best Friends. It came out in 2011.
What was
and
that
I've
process?
since deleted it because it's horrendous.
I was gonna say, what was that process as like you're really young, just getting into the studio? Like,
Yeah.
wild experience.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I didn't really know what I was doing. I had done stuff on my dad's setup like when I was like 10, 9 years old. I recorded like a song and it was horrendous, but you know, everybody's like, I want to make a song, Dad. But this was like going to the studio. I don't want to say well written. I wrote a song that wasn't awful in my father's eyes, I guess. And he was like, we're gonna go record this with real producers and the real thing. And I don't know. I think a lot of the early portion of my career, he was just like, I never got to do it, so let's go ahead and do it, and we'll see what happens. And it turned out it wasn't the worst thing. It was very cringy. I'm very glad that I don't have the videos and all that stuff up anymore. But it started it. It started it, and you can't hate the beginnings, I guess.
That's sick. Yeah, and then I mean, 2014, you came out with an album, so
Right.
Started rolling. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I want to jump a little bit into Anthem Lights.
Oh boy,
we're gonna jump into that. So
sure,
you joined them back in 2016, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so what was that like? Kind of like, did you know them before? Like, did you know about them?
I had heard of them, but I didn't really know them. Obviously, they were kind of like a Christian boy band that did covers, kind of did the like rock thing. I didn't really know what they were doing. I knew they did covers online, but I hadn't paid attention much. But I was also doing covers online because everyone was doing covers at that point, like in the mainstream space. And that's what Anthem Lights was cool about. They, like Christian artists weren't paying attention to social media at the time. Like if we're just being honest, like maybe some of the hip hop artists were, but nobody in the Christian space was really doing social media driven content. And so they excelled in that because they were like, we're positive and we'll do Christian music, but we'll also do, you know, Taylor Swift. We'll also do clean Justin Bieber songs. We'll also do these things. And it popped. And so I was kind of doing something similar where I was like, I was never dirty or anything with my music, but my originals were Christian adjacent or just blatantly Christian. And then I would do covers of songs that I thought were fun, popular, that everyone would know, but weren't dirty. And because of that, I started working with a guy in Nashville named Chuck Butler, who's a producer for like Torn Wells and a bunch of other people. And he wanted to do something similar to that. I met him through the label that I was working with at the time, and he was like, "Hey, let's just split ownership on these covers that we do. We'll post them and see what happens." Because I've heard about this model with this band called Anthem Lights, and it works. And I was like, "All right, let's try it." So we did like 4 or 5 of them, and crazy story. Right before I joined Anthem, I was like 18, 19 years old. I was kind of getting done with the developmental deal at iShine. It's called iShine Connect. I had a TV show and like a tour, and they introduced me to a bunch of people here. It was kind of like a Christian Disney. And I was kind of ending that whole term and relationship. And I was like, all right, am I gonna go to college? Am I gonna move to Nashville and just like start doing the music thing? Am I gonna just get a job here in Indiana and keep doing what we've been doing and building online? Like I didn't really know what was gonna happen. And I'd started doing those covers, and I was kind of going back and forth, graduated high school, and I got reached out to by Simon Cowell's like team. And they wanted to fly me out and audition for a boy band. And so I was like, okay, sure, why not? I'll like, that sounds cool. So I go out to LA and we travel, and I did the whole thing for like 3-4 days. Sang, danced, did like a few different like audition things, and ended up getting home. They're like, hey, I'll call you in a couple days, let you know what we decide. And I was the only one of the 5 that didn't get selected. And I don't know why. The guy has since told me is because I was like 5, 6, 7 inches taller than everybody else, and they wanted like a cohesive look. That could have been just him being
want
nice.
To tower over people.
I know. I could have just been him being nice. Like, I'm not gonna take it too much, you know.
Yeah.
But that was like a really crazy experience. And I don't know if you know this dude Levi Mitchell. He's my buddy here in town. He and I were almost in a couple of boy bands with in the Christian side of things here in town. And all of these things kind of just happened within like 6 to 7 months, and nothing worked out.
Yeah.
And so once the Simon Cowell people called and was like, no, it's not going to happen. I was like, all right, well, I don't really want to go to college. So I think I'm going to just get a job and I'm going to start doing music and maybe move to Nashville. I don't know. I have a lot of relationships down there. Maybe I can do that. And like the next day, I get a random text from Caleb in Anthem. He goes, hey, dude, I'm part of Anthem Lights. My name's Caleb Grimm. Do you want to potentially talk about joining our band? We see that you do covers online. It's kind of similar to us. We have a member leaving. We'd love to talk. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like we're literally like, I just got told no. I'm like really depressed because nothing's happening. I don't think my music's doing okay, but not enough to live off of. I'm gonna have to get a job. I'm gonna have to either move, which is fine. Those are all like just growing up things, but it was just my world was shifting. I was becoming a man. I was becoming 18, 19 years old. And so I was like, well, yeah, like I would love to. Let's talk about it. And so we started meeting with them. They flew me to one of their shows in Tampa, just to see them perform live. The show ends up getting rained out, so I just end up hanging out with them for a weekend in Tampa. And it was awesome. It was a really great fit. The guy that was leaving, I got really close with, and he kind of like helped me out. And I was very ignorant, but I was very willing to work and learn, and I had a good work ethic, and we did a lot of similar stuff. So over the course of that next year, I was able to learn the process, and the rest was history. Excuse me, but it was a really cool like series of events right before joining, where it was just like I was kind of like getting told no, 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 and then finally the yes happened, and
Yeah.
it was obvious that was where I was meant to be.
Yeah. That's so sick. I mean, it seems like the boy band was kind of like in already like your mind as you went through. And
Yeah.
like with all the other stuff.
Right.
Was like, yeah, like when you it doesn't even seem like, did you even audition for Anthem Lights, or was it kind of like you just hung out and then it was like, this is like a good fit?
Yeah, there was no audition for it. I think they had asked a few people prior to me, and like loosely auditioned them, but no either. Funny enough, Jimmy Allen, the country singer,
Mm.
was supposed to join, but he turned it down.
Really?
So then that's when they got Joey in our band. So that was like a random person that they missed out on it during the career of it.
Yeah.
And then a couple other people before me. And then I ended up just like working that relationship, and they liked me. I was young. I was 19, and the next closest in age was like 26. And then the oldest in the band was like 29 at the time, or 28. So it was like I was gonna bring their age down, they were gonna bring me up.
Yeah.
But it just kind of worked. It meshed. I was the little brother of the group. It was a cool dynamic, and the fans were receptive of it. The first thing I recorded with them was some Disney covers, and the rest was history.
I feel like that's so important. Like it's something that you don't even think about. Like when you were starting like auditioning for like these up and coming like or new boy bands, like you're joining it already an established group.
Right.
And like obviously like the fans, like if they're like, we don't like this guy, it's like there's a problem there. Like what was that pretty intimidating? Like especially going off for your first show as like I'm a part of this group.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
Was that like, what was that like?
They had like 200,000 on Facebook, like 100,000 on YouTube, and maybe 40 or 50 across all the other platforms. So like the joining process was going to come with a lot. Like everyone loved Alan. He was kind of the leader of the group that I was replacing anyway. And those shoes were obviously not going to come to me.
Yeah.
All the guys were like living on their own. Some were married. Some were about to, like paying their bills with music. None of them had jobs. Like they had gotten this thing to a steady standpoint, and I was going to be coming in, and obviously I'm not going to like take the dude that I'm replacing's income. So I'm kind of like, all right, let's record songs, and then maybe in 3 to 4 months I can make a couple $100, and then another 3 or 4 months after the next quarter, like then I could maybe start like paying for my stuff. So they were very generous with my joining in a lot of different ways, and very supportive, and the base was really into it. There was a lot of mutual fans for the limited amount that I had. They all knew who Anthem Lights was. So that was an easy transition, and they welcomed me with open arms, and I credit their management at the time, and the team, and the way they treated it like a 9 to 5 job, which was really cool. We had an office we worked out of. So it was just a really mature, grown, and well-oiled machine that they had going. And it was really helpful for me because like, I'm a kid, and my father had kind of been domineering in the running of what we had been doing. So I hadn't really been given an opportunity to just kind of like let my voice and influence happen. And so they were really welcoming in that, and helping show how they did it, how it's been successful for them. And it was super educating. And I'm just humbled to have had the opportunity in the first place, because It's a difficult thing. I mean, you see in the history of all these groups and member changes, like it doesn't always go well, or it crashes and
Yeah.
burns shortly after, or they eventually break up, and like the guys are just super particular about making sure that we all have no egos, we all love each other. We're all trying to make the same income, we're all trying to make the same living, and the better we all do, the better we all do. So
Yeah.
it was a very unique and special experience that I've gotten to be a part of, and I forever thankful, forever
Yeah.
blessed and thankful for it.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that. That's great. So yeah. So you're in Anthem Lights, and
Mhm.
you also do. I want to kind of jump into now collaborations and
Sure.
kind of like who you collaborate with on your side. So now you also have your own established Spencer Kane. That's your own artist as well. How has
Mhm.
that kind of, as we're transitioning to like collaborations, how has that kind of been with, like, you're in a boy band, but then also you want to do your own stuff? I know
Yeah.
they don't do that. Like, how has that balance been, and like how has that shaped like being in with those guys? How you make your own music?
Sure. So many answers to that. I feel like one of the bigger things we said before I joined, I say we, but mainly me. What I was like, I don't want to just throw away this thing I've been building for, at that point, 7 years. Like, I didn't want
Yeah.
to just like stop doing music for myself. And Caleb and his wife were doing music on the side. Joey
Mhm.
was doing music on the side. Chad hadn't really been doing music on the side yet, but he was like, contemplating it. And I was just like, obviously Anthem Lights, once that becomes what I'm, making income from, like that's gonna prioritize things. Like that's the
Mhm.
that's the thing we're building here. But on my side, like I want to be able to still do my own music. Like I want to do hip hop and R&B. I don't want to just do like Disney covers for the rest of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I love it and it's good.
Yeah.
And we knew our audience, we knew our model, and it worked. Um, and so as that grew, those things obviously like started going hand in hand. But then I found myself being able to work in the studio with like other people a little bit better, because I've been working with four other guys. I've been able to find harmonies a little easier because I'm singing low parts and harmonies for all these arrangements. And like, Joey in our band, he's an amazing piano player and an amazing like just musical savant. Never took a lesson a day in his life, and he can play piano better than half of Nashville. Like it's just ridiculous what he can do. And
Yeah.
so being able to take some of those skill sets and those business minded things from like my bandmate Caleb, he like really kind of ran our band for the years, and he still does. I mean, we all take a different role, but he's just so business savvy and has such a knack for how to see something succeed. He did it with Anthem. He did it with him and his wife's band. Like they're arguably bigger than us now. Like it's just
Mhm.
one of those things where I've been able to have those examples play then into what I'm doing on the side and people I'm working with, and the importance of like doing things the right way at ahead of time and not trying to cut corners. And there's a lot of skills and there's a lot of experience with that I'm very thankful for. I don't think I would have had outside of that. And
Yeah.
so now as I work with people that are maybe a little bit newer than I am, or that are less experienced or haven't been able to go through some of these things, it's not like I'm like, hey, well then listen to me because I know. But like I hope I build enough relational equity to be like, hey, like this is something I learned. This is what's worked for
Mhm.
Anthem Lights. We're a band of guys that haven't broken up over 14 years. Like that's crazy. So like at least here's some things that have worked. And thankfully for the most part, the people I work with are friends, and they want to hear some of that stuff too. And they teach me a lot. Like there's just no one has an ego in my
Mhm.
circle, because I just don't think that breeds success. It just bogs it down. And so I think between the band and my own music on the side and having figured it all out and balance it all, it's been a quite a formula.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
skills you can bring from that. So,
for sure.
like, yes, some of the artists that you've kind of collaborated with,
Yeah,
um, are two of them is Marty and Caleb LeDuc.
yeah,
So, what was the process with, and we just did Yell at Me that you did with Marty. What was
yeah.
that kind of process like? Like doing music with him, and
Oh
like,
man.
did it change how you like you wrote, or was it like you just kind of went through your process?
Yeah, no, so I've known Social Club for a minute now. Back in the day when Rapzilla's SoundCloud was
Mhm.
popping and stuff, and it still is. I'm not, no
Yeah.
no digs to them, but they've obviously switched to more of a Spotify model in their
Yeah.
playlisting. But Social Club was one of the few groups I was like, you guys are making cool music. Like the rest of this
Mhm.
Christian hip hop scene is kind of whack, but y'all are doing it well. And we followed each other. We had known each other, but we were never like friends.
Mhm.
And then like 3 years ago, maybe two or 3 years ago, I did a festival up in Wisconsin, and they were there as well. and we had been messaging, and I finally gotten to meet him in person and hang in person, and we kicked it for the whole night. And we got deep real quick. We were talking about marriage and talking about life and the industry and our experiences. And he's been in it for so long, and I've been in it for so long. And so there was this really cool and very quick, deep friendship that we were able to make just because we were finally able to make that link happen.
Yeah.
And I got to play him some music and tell him what I'm working on, and he was, such a fan of what I was doing, and obviously vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had just been talking, and I was like, man, we gotta work, we gotta work, we gotta work. And we actually wrote another record that I hope comes out, called Badu. Sat on that for a minute, and it was like it was great. Everyone loved it that we were playing it for, but Marty's a little like ADHD. He'll just like he has a great record, but he has to fix it, or he has to over reproduce it, or he'll just work on something entirely different. And he sends this other record to me, and he was just like, bro, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I mean, let's finish the one. He's like, no, dude, this is fire. I'm like, okay, all right, let's finish it. And so I was like, you want me to put a verse on it? What do you want from me? And he's like, yeah, just put a verse on there. I was like, okay.
That's amazing.
And so I did my thing on it, sent it back to him. He's like, this is perfect. The A&Rs and this. And okay, all right, we're gonna do it. And he just goes so fast, and I love it because like I don't have many people like that in my life, and he's established enough, experienced enough. He does this thing on the regular. Like things can go quick because he knows what he's doing. It's no like, well, so how should we, put it out? Well, so what should we, is the mix like, bro? Just if it sounds good, let's do it. And that's kind of like functions. And so we were able to get that one record out. And a lot of people liked it. I think a lot of couples liked it because we're both tongue in cheek a little bit with it. Like, obviously, we don't want our wives yelling at us, but it is funny. So I think that was a fun record to do with him. And I love him. He's super funny. He's a meme guy to a T, which is obviously my humor as well. And we just get each other. So it's really cool. We got another record coming out. I can't say when, but it is obnoxiously soon.
Okay.
And hopefully going to have a couple next year with Marty, including that one that started this whole thing that I still love, but we'll see if he comes back to it.
Was your process similar to when you did with Marty? Was it similar with Caleb? Or, I mean, you've released, I think, at least a couple songs with him already.
Yeah, no. So Caleb and I's relationship is crazy. And the way we've worked, like we've in the 3 years that we've known each other, we've gone through so much. So he came over and we wrote that song Numb, which was on my 22 record. And then I shot some videos for him, and we really liked working together because like we wrote really well together in the same room. We bounced ideas off of each other. I loved his melody choices. He's an amazing pop R&B, and he's a rapper, but he won't let you know that as much. He's going to though. He's going to. But he's just so good and so quick at coming up with rap like lyrics, and then pop and R&B melodies. And I think that's some golden sauce. Like I think some of the best songs that you hear, like even Sabrina Carpenter, like she's writing rap lyrics. Like those lyrics are quick and witty and metaphorical and very specific and quick, but they're over the top of these pop melodies, and it's baller. And I view him very similar to that. And so for someone like me, who I'm very melody centric, like if you could write the best song in the world, but if the melodies aren't popping, I don't want to listen. I don't care how profound, how creative. I don't care about a lyric. If you can't capture me with the music and the melody, I'm out. It just loses me. I just get bored. And so he had the music and the lyrics, and it's so few and far between for me, at least in my opinion, here in Nashville with that genre. So I was like, dude, we got to keep working. We got to keep working. So the songs that you've heard come out, the EP, the Hold On, We'll Be Right Back, that EP was done like 2 years ago. Before we put it out, and he and I, before we put that out, actually ended up joining a group together, him, myself, and one other guy, and we had a whole record done, and we were meeting with labels, and it was like popping, and we were like, this might be the thing that just takes it to the next level. And sadly we ended up having to call it quits, but those records hopefully are going to come out this next year. So there'll be some more, but it's just the way he and I have been able to write together and work together was very quick. It was very easy. It was very seamless. Neither of us would be stressed. We were also okay with, and this is a hard thing to do with a lot of people, but it's also okay to be like, nah, it sucks. Next. And neither of us get offended. I feel like I can kind of be a jerk sometimes in studio sessions. Like I either don't say anything because I'm afraid to hurt somebody's feelings, or if I know you, I'm just like, hey bro, but you can do better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like I want somebody to say that to me too. And so I was just like, we're gonna get there. You and I are gonna get there real quick in our friendship so that we can just like make the best song possible.
Yeah.
And I think between him and I, like we trust very few people more than we trust each other to just be in a studio and be like, yeah, it's a banger. Or like, you can improve that, you could do that. And so when you got somebody like that you can work with and write with, and I feel like make the records that we have that have been so awesome, and I'm very proud of them. That's just few and far between. So you just try to lock that in as much as you can.
Yeah. So that's great. Is collaboration like a really important part of your process? Like when you're writing?
Yeah,
like just in general, like even like with a producer, like you're always bouncing off of somebody, or do you need to like sit and kind of be like, I need my thoughts, I need my time, and then boom?
I would say it's probably 70-30. I want to be by myself, and 30 I want to write with people, and and the only reason I say that is just because I am not I'm not around enough people that I feel like um are gonna do what I do obnoxiously better. And that's not like a cocky thing of what I'm saying, because I just don't feel like many people in town do what I'm doing, or they'll do what I do but differently, and that's completely great. But what I'm trying to do and what I want to achieve and what I want to accomplish, I learned a lot of what I'm trying to do from Jordan Armstrong. I don't know if you know who that artist is. He's a gospel R&B artist out of Atlanta. Him and his team taught me everything I know. Like anything I do in the studio, anything that I do with tracking, anything I do with writing, like melody choice, all that stuff. Like it came from them. It came from the work that they did with me. And they're in Atlanta, and there's a lot of those types of artists and those types of creatives in Atlanta and in other cities, but they're not as much here in town. And so I sadly want to work with more people, but I like it's like, hey, unless Caleb's free, like I don't really want many people coming over, because like I would rather write with somebody that I know is like bringing heat to the table constantly. Otherwise, like let me sit here and do 1,000 different melodies till I figure it out, and I don't want to piss anybody off because I've been recording for 30 minutes. So it's a I don't know. It's a hard question for me to answer, just because like I love collaboration. I feel like I would be I feel like I would be better having another voice of reason in studios being like, hey dude, that was fire. Who that's not that great, because I know I overthink, or I'm like just going with it because it came to me. But having that other voice would be awesome. I just want to be around more people that do it, not better or worse, just more.
No, that's great. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I know we're getting close to the end of our time. I really appreciate you just hanging out here.
Dude, no,
I wanted to touch quickly on marriage. I know you got married to Brooke a couple years ago. How's this been? I mean, going well?
Oh, dude, it's going well. When you marry a 10 out of 10, it's hard to complain, man. No, she's awesome. Very blessed. She and I met in the industry when we were 17. She was doing Christian music. I was doing Christian music. Known each other since then. I mean, we're 11 years knowing each other. We've been dating for 6 or 7, and we've been married for almost 4. In March will be 4. So, just been awesome to learn how to do that, learn how to be married, learn how to be in a relationship that's worth keeping and pursuing, and working towards being a lifetime thing. Like that's a constant daily choice. It's not just like we put the ring on and now it's a lock. Like no, it's a choice every single day. And that's a beautiful choice that just makes me fall in love with her more every day, and her fall in love with me every day, just because we get to wake up knowing that we're choosing each other. It's not just like we're just a given. It's not like we're just punching the clock. We're choosing that every day. And so being able to have that support system for somebody who knows what I'm doing in music, to do music with somebody that's so obnoxiously talented and beautiful and experienced, and she knows so much about me. She knows so much about herself, but she also is like discovering so much about herself, and music has an interesting relationship with her. So that's been an evolution, but it's been really cool to be a part of that. And yeah, dude, I don't know what you want to know about it. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but
no, I love it. I love it, dude. I mean, I know you guys, I love that. I know you both are artists and like do music. Like, how has that kind of been? Like, has she like been like a sounding board with like, hey, check out this song, I'm writing this song? Like, have you guys written together?
Oh,
dude,
are you
gonna put out music? Like,
I annoy her so much with playing records. I know it. She is such a blessing. Like, I really think about it sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm like, am I cocky? Am I like really all about myself? Because like I like playing my records in the car. I gotta hear them like 1,000 times just to be confident enough to put them out. And she just sits through it. She never really complains. Like, sometimes she'll be like, all right, I love you. Let's play something else. I'm like, all right, that's fair. That's fair. You haven't said anything in like months like that. You've earned so many of those. But no, she really is, and that was an interesting point in our friendship, in our relationship, and in our friendship at the beginning, because she's so realistic. She'll shoot you
Mhm.
straight. Like all of our
Mhm.
friends, you either love it or you hate it. You either want a yes woman or you want somebody who's gonna like love you enough to tell you like when it's not it, or
Mhm.
will tell you when it is it, and you know you can trust it because she's shooting straight with you.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of our relationship in my music career, I was definitely in a transition of like finding my sound, finding
Mhm.
myself. Where am I going to try to fall, and what am I doing? And it was like one of those things where I was like, I want my person to be just a fan of me. Like I want like my person to be obsessed with what I'm doing, and she wasn't gonna just be that without it
Yeah.
her believing that. You know what I'm saying? And to be
Mhm.
able to like grow with her wisdom and with her, with her influence in my life. And as I've just gotten older and more experienced, and to see our relationship kind of come to a point where it's like, she is a fan of what I'm doing. She does speak into what I'm doing. She can sit in the
Mhm.
studio and spit game on like anything I play. And it's such valuable. Like it's a secret weapon, man. Like she's
Mhm.
so good, so talented. We are doing music together, which has
That's
also
big.
been things that it's a very difficult
Yeah.
process, still is, but we've gotten a lot better at it in how to talk
Good.
to each other and
Good.
communicate to each other without frustrating each other. It's hard. It's hard, man.
Mhm.
Like she has her own experiences in music outside of me, and so working through those traumas or those issues while I'm working through my own traumas and my issues, in music and in life, and then being married and be like, all right, we're done recording. Now do you want to like hang out? Like it's just there's so much at that in
Yeah.
that relational situation. So we're working on music. We may or may not have have got some. I'm not gonna say much. I'm not gonna say much. We got some stuff
We'll
coming for
keep it
next
down the
year
wraps.
that I'm very, very excited about, and she is too. And this will be kind of her first push at like her own creative music coming out in
Yeah.
a long time. And other than the stuff she does with Tommy, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna
she,
say, yeah,
yeah,
she has a huge performance coming up.
dude,
You
Tommy
wanna
Prophet.
shout out that a little bit?
Yeah, man, dude, of course. Tommy Prophet put out this incredible record. I don't know if for people who don't know Tommy Prophet, if you like NF, you love Tommy Prophet. All
Mhm.
right. That's NF has no other producers. It's Tommy Prophet. That's it. There's people that will add to the production, sure.
Yeah.
It's Tommy Prophet, bro. So Tommy Prophet does like sync music. He does music for movies, trailers, all this stuff. So his sound is so cinematic. And he had this dream one day of creating a Christmas album that is cinematic and
Mm.
huge, and it sounds like movie trailers, and it's massive, and there's choirs and strings and orchestras and the whole thing. And Brooke was lucky enough to be involved with that. Brooke and him go way back. He would stay with Brooke when he would come to Nashville, and they had this a long-going friendship, and he always believed in Brooke's voice. And so he made a song specifically with her in mind for that record, and she
That's so
crushed it.
cool. That's so
Um,
cool.
and it is called "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear." I was trying to remember the title of it.
Yeah.
But she sings ridiculously low, obnoxiously high in a 4-minute span, and it's truly experienced just on the record. Well, that she's been blessed enough to perform it live for the last 2 years.
Wow.
Once at Belmont, and last year was at the Grand Ole Opry. This year is again at the Grand Ole Opry. And yeah, it's been really cool to watch her be involved with that project, because it's made a lot of noise, and she's
Yeah.
just like, she's on there. She gets posted every year, and people are like, your wife's on that record. I'm like, yeah, dude, she crushes it, bro. And they're like, your wife's Brooke? I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm Brooke's husband. There's no Spencer on here. I'm Brooke's husband, dude.
I love I love
Yeah.
that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I know this is coming out after, but for those people who are watching this, make sure you go back and check it out.
Yes,
It's amazing.
absolutely.
And I've been seeing you post about it and stuff. And I'm just like, dude, this is so cool. It's so
So
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude, I appreciate you so much for coming on. We're wrapping up our time right here, but for anybody that wants to kind of follow you, where can they find your music, all that kind of stuff? You can plug
Yeah.
it right here.
Instagram and TikTok I post the most probably on is Spencer Kane Music. Kane is Kane. Spotify, Apple Music, guys, go follow me on there so you don't miss a release, and add it to your playlist.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, anywhere you're on socials, I'm on there. I don't really use Twitter as much, or X, I guess, but I'm on there. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll say something someday.
Oh, dude, I appreciate it. Well, dude, thanks so much for hanging out.
Yeah,
I
thank
hope
you
have
for
a
having
good
me,
rest
man.
of
It's
your
been
day. Yeah,
great.
man. Yeah, dude. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. And we'll see you next time.